On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
At the time, in 2004, email marketing wasn't huge. And so I actually sent out a broadcast fax. So it's Sunday night. It would go out to I think I picked 1,500 businesses and I sent them out. So on Sunday night, a fax came through to everyone's machine. So they'd come in the next day and there'd be faxes, cheap flights or whatever. And one of the faxes was for my new recruitment agency. And I got one response to the fax. But that piece of business, I was able to milk that piece of business for in excess of €1 million over the course of the next 3 years.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolfe, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in.
What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. Today, I've got John Sharpe on the King stage, my brother from another part of the world. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for having me on today. Very much appreciated.
Absolutely. I didn't think about it. I welcomed you, said good morning to you, but it's probably not morning your time.
3:15 in the afternoon. So the kids are home from school already.
There you go. I would have just sent mine off, but today's the day before Thanksgiving here in the US. And so my kids are downstairs screaming, having a great time. Hopefully we don't hear them, but here we are, needless to say. John, tell us what kind of business that you got, my brother.
I run a sales agency. So we supply businesses with sales teams. So we have a portfolio of amazing clients. We have teams selling renewable energy. We sell rural broadband. We have teams out there's operating on behalf of UNICEF. We have some teams out selling a new kind of subscription-based dog food. That is, since the lockdown, the dog population of Ireland has increased significantly, and a lot of those dog owners want another option other than tin food or kibble. So, but the renewable energy piece is probably our biggest teams. We have 5 offices around the country and probably about 20 vehicles dedicated to that team. Wow. The rural broadband is there's a lot of parts of Ireland that don't have internet. So we partnered with a company and we're in rural Ireland, calling on farmers and letting them know that we have a way of delivering internet into their homes. So renewable energy, broadband into the rural. UNICEF is feeding the children and the dogs is for the animals. So I think
gotta make sure we cover the whole gamut here.
Yeah.
Obviously what I heard you say is that you how to build teams, sales process, clearly from different angles of industry and end user, which is really cool because a lot of people get confused by that, about the sales process and how those things work and even building a sales team. So I'm sure we'll get into a lot of that. Before we do though, I want to know what's ticking on the inside of John. Like, why are you still doing this? For all intents and purposes, like I told you before we got started here, you're part of the top 10% of businesses that have done $1 million or more in revenue. That's why we've got you here on the show. Why are you still pushing, even with the success that you've had?
I'm not finished. Nothing is finished. Yeah. And then the more you know that you don't know. And the more you dive into an industry, like we recruit, train, manage payroll, we've got a fleet of vehicles where the whole business is governed with technology. We've got handheld devices that track individuals, track their activity. As with any technology or any iteration of any product, you're always thinking about the next iteration and the next scalable step to take. So if you're working in a sales job, like I might have been 20 years ago, you're thinking, I could do this better on my own. So you're looking to evolve out of that sales job and maybe get into your own gig. And then when you do have your own gig and you start getting some success, you've got to learn, what do you do with that success? So you might learn a little bit about retail investment, or you might start trying to look at maybe seeding other businesses or investing in other complementary businesses, and then you might want to look further up the chain and ultimately do that on a more structured basis, venture capital. So even at that, there is always room to evolve that even
Totally.
further. So
Yep.
the game is never over, no matter
Yeah.
how far you get along the chain. There's always something that's going to inspire you, something that you didn't know about, something that you
Right.
can learn. And so that's it. But fundamentally, everything we're doing is a work in progress. Everything we're doing has potential to get better. And
Yeah.
we have a backbone of the organization, a team. And I would see my role as taking the business and in it as far as they can possibly go in their lives. And that is, we're nowhere near checking out of that plan at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I loved what you said. You gave a distinction of not only the organization reaching its potential, and obviously new iteration after new iteration after new iteration gives you new ideas and growth. And there's really this never done process. I say all the time that I'm grateful, but not done.
Yeah.
Grateful for where I'm at, grateful for the scenery of this current position, love where I'm at, content in that moment, not done.
Not done.
And so you
Not
gave
done.
a clear distinction on that. And then on top of that, then it goes into now your people, as far as being able to then help them reach their potential. Was it always like that for you, or did you grow into that piece of it?
Well, we were very lucky. We have a backbone in our organization that's been there probably 7 years, and a lot of these guys are Eastern European guys, came over from Bosnia, and a lot of them you might have I think the average monthly wage in Bosnia back in 2015 was about 500 euros, which is $500 a month. So a lot of these guys we have a sort of a Bosnian vein running through our business, a Croatian, and a lot of these guys, they would have come across, moved to Dublin, stayed in hostels, found sales jobs. They would have evolved. Some of them that joined us, there's a Vedran Petrovic, who was sort of the managing director of Billsave. He is a born leader, and there's a crew there they've all evolved into great managers and leaders of men. And I serve these guys, and to see some of these guys have come over, stayed in hostels, built a life, got an apartment, flew over their wives and kids, and have evolved even further. And now these guys are driving Audis and BMWs, and they are absolutely crushing it. So, and you can see they're hungry for more. They want everything life has to offer. Vedran Bozic, Marino Bozic, Dragos and Miskulese in our business, like they want it all. And if I can't give them the platform to get that within our business, then they're going to go somewhere else and get it somewhere else. And these guys are worth their weight in gold. So I can't let that happen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, spoken like a true salesperson, even yourself, the value of a good salesperson. And it doesn't mean that you cater to a top performer and you give them every single thing that they want. There's obviously a culture that you're building, I'm sure, and we'll talk about this, but there's a layer though, or an attentiveness when you can hone in on someone that has that skill. It's like it's just a night and day difference when someone can come in and produce like that. And so it sounds like you've got a whole crew of guys like that, which is pretty incredible, especially for your clients. I'm sure that they feel pretty lucky to have a guy like you in their corner with a team that you have.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And that's it. And you want to protect that by giving them autonomy, by trusting them to make decisions. And that's what we do. We get out of their way. We might tee up new clients or new campaigns, but once we have it teed up, we get out of the way and let
the horses run.
Let them do their thing. And we haven't been disappointed. We haven't been disappointed yet.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, let's get a little practical here. I'd love to hear about your story. How did you get involved in just business in general? Tell us about your upbringing a little bit. Maybe tell us how you started this business. Give us a little bit of the backdrop.
Well, I can sort of recall when I was very young, the kids on the street would talk about their dad's boss. And I would say to my dad, "Who's your boss, Dad?" And my dad worked for himself. He was his own boss. He was actually he was a bookie at the racetrack. So
there you go.
Yeah, from the age of 10, I'm kind of traveling around racetracks and I'm working at the races. And by 14 or 15, I'm having hundreds on horses and sometimes winning thousands, So I suppose entrepreneurship is risk. So I was able to develop quite a tolerance for risk at a young age. Sure. Now, that didn't mean I wanted to be a bookie or any of that kind of stuff. I still wanted to break into corporate Ireland as such. So I got into sales when I got into recruitment, and my first business was a recruitment agency, and I went working for a recruitment agency. I was sitting at a desk, I was billing 30K in the month, and then at the end of the month, they'd hand me a check for 2K or something along those lines. And I'd
Sure.
think to myself, I think I want to be on the other end of that equation. So there was that's when you're working in a business, the jobs that I had, sales roles or recruitment roles, I was always sitting there thinking I could do this without you guys. So that was always there. So December 2004, I remember I was working for a guy and he said to me, John, you're kind of wasted in this business. And I was kind of ready to go, and that was the push that I needed. So I set up a recruitment agency, and believe it or not, I had no clients starting out, but I sent out at the time in 2004, there wasn't much, email marketing wasn't huge. And so I actually sent out a broadcast fax. I sent out you could send these broadcast faxes out, right? So it's Sunday night. It would go out to I think I picked 1,500 businesses in my locale, and I sent them out. So on Sunday night, a fax came through to everyone's machine. So they'd come in the next day and there'd be faxes, cheap flights or whatever. And one of the faxes was for my new recruitment agency. And I got one response to the fax. But that piece of business, I was able to milk that piece of business for in excess of €1 million over the course of the next 3 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And then that recruitment area of specialization that dried up. It dried up completely. I'm in business with a guy by the name of Brian Rooney. One day he walked into my office in 2009 around sort of March time. He had a mortgage business that had just gone south. The financial collapse had just caved in on us, and we were both at a loose end. He had an idea to get on some sales contractors and go out and start. It was recession business, saving people money on their bills. We were going into businesses first and saying, listen, we'll do a diagnostic on your bills. Your revenue is down because we're in a recession. We'll do a diagnostic on your bills and tell you what you can save on your electricity, your gas, your broadband, your waste, and all this kind of stuff. So we started tipping away at that. And then I had another stroke of unbelievable luck. The fax was an unbelievable bit of luck there, and then I had another unbelievable bit of luck. I sent a email to a guy, Paul O'Shaughnessy. He was working in electricity at the time, and I said, listen, we can acquire customers for your business. That was a renewable energy company. We got he responded to my email and just 2 words, ring Lisa and her number, and we rang Lisa. And I think it was in July. This is 2009. We thought we got a piece of business on that we'd get about 30 grand of profit out of it, and it would do us for the summer of 2009.
Right. We're
still with that client, and our last deal was an EU tender worth 15 million over the next 3 to 5 years. So and that was an email, we can get customers for your business. So there was a couple of little I'm reading listening to Bono's autobiography at the moment. Bono from U2.
Yeah.
He self-narrates his own audiobook of his memoirs.
That's awesome.
And he has the origin story of U2 is Larry Mullen stuck a notice up on the notice board in their school. Drummer seeks musicians to form band.
Right.
And that was the little card that Bono responded to, and Adam and The Edge and U2 was born. So I'm listening to Bono for the last few days as I'm walking the dog, and I think about that little U2 starting from that. But we're not U2, but we've had monumental results in business coming from a broadcast fax, number one, and then an email in March of 2009. We rolled out a team selling renewable energy in July 2009, and we've been at it ever since.
Hard at it ever since. Yeah. The reality of your humility is really what I want to point out real quick here, that you would call it a stroke of luck, right? That you got one response out of 1,500. How many people listening would have sent the 1,500 mailers, fax, like fill in the blank with whatever it is, gotten the one response and been upset that they didn't get a 1% ratio response, right? And I just love the perspective that you have of gratefulness of like, wow, the fact that I had that one client come from that, like, wow, what a good move. The fact that you sent a random email. I'm sure that there was quite a few other random emails that you sent as well that go into the backdrop. That's your one email, that the overnight success into now a $15 million contract. But there was so much before that. And we all know that as entrepreneurs, but the fact that we got to hear you say it is like, yep, I know this guy's been on the trail, because that's usually what happens, is that you're on the trail for a while and you've been doing the thing, and the thing that you've been doing just hasn't been hitting, and then all of a sudden it hits.
Yeah.
And so it's luck, but you were doing the work. So there's a preparation meets opportunity there for sure.
We were drilling for oil, and we got to dig a fair few holes, but we only really focused on the one that the oil actually came out of.
Yeah, exactly. And look, when I think about a lot of the businesses that I've started, or when I think about a lot of my clients, that's typically how it works, is that you just kind of got to find that initial place, and then you just go, look, right here, until nothing else matters, until we get all the oil out of this hole here, which is fine, because then it allows you to focus in on that client, provide amazing service. And that's just typically how things work. And eventually you got to expand out past that one client, but that's okay. There's a period of time there that makes a lot of sense. I want to know, from like a history perspective, did you have a level head through all of that? Because you kind of it sounds like you went through quite a bit of time there in that story. And then even like the collapse of 2009, you kind of just like tossed that in there of like, hey, we were a little bit on the edge of our seats. Like, there was obviously a little bit of a roller coaster happening. Outside of the success, like behind the scenes, were you a little nervous? What was the feeling as you were drilling, per se?
I wouldn't say nervous. It was exciting, and it was. We've had our backs to the wall a few times, and I've been on our ass a couple of times. Felt the pressure. We welcome adversity. I'm kind of tuned into the cycle, the economic cycles. So with boom bust, Ireland is a boom bust kind of a place, and I grew up in a kind of a boom bust house. My dad would come home and either he'd be emptying money onto the table, or it would be completely the other end of the spectrum. So you welcome adversity. Everybody else is in the same boat. So when the property market collapsed here, or the financial, there was people out of work, everywhere. But whatever, at the time, you might go from thinking long term to thinking month to month, or day to day, or whatever it might be. But I don't drink. I kept a fairly level head. I have the tools of good stoic philosophy to talk me through and give me perspective on disaster when it comes, because it's just so disaster in the game. It's not disaster in life. So you can, lots of pressures can be coming at you, but you can still have a calm mind, fit body, and a house full of love to go home to. And when you close that door, your kids are not privy to the ins and outs of what's going on in the world, if things are going. And at the moment, things are tough at the moment. We are at that sharp end of the cycle at the moment. There's an energy crisis. We're selling renewable energy. We're trying to incentivize people to switch over to a greener form of energy.
Right.
But at the moment, it's price. We don't care if the energy is not renewable. If they've got a cheaper price, we want it. So there's been a meltdown of stocks. Stocks are 40% off their highs of 2021. Got the war in Ukraine is on our doorstep. Like, Ireland has just taken in 200,000 refugees, I think.
Wow.
And there already is a housing crisis here. There's no incentive for developers to build houses over here. There's no incentive. The incentive is to build houses for funds that can buy the whole street off you, or buy the whole block. But there's no incentive to sell them to individuals, because it would just take the developer too long. Individual snag lists and this and that. They just want to shift them onto a fund. So you've got this sort of this perfect storm of stuff going on in the macros at the moment. But we're still make everyone in the business aware that these are the tough times. These are the times that will galvanize us. This is the adversarial situation that we were preparing for.
Right.
If you're,
it's game time.
So it's game time now. It's serious. The free money is loose, low interest rates, free money, looseness of governments with handouts. Now they want it all back. And so we've got to, more than thinking about how we got through 08, it's how are we going to get through 22, 23, 24. This is the reality. Look forward and realize we've got a fleet of maybe 40 cars on the road. Diesel prices are through the roof over in Europe. So LA, we've got 5 offices. Energy prices are through the roof. And we're going into a cold winter. Electricity bills and heating bills have doubled. So we've got a lot of little problems there that need to be we need to survive into 2023. But I was in IT recruitment when the dot-com bubble burst. I was in recruitment when the financial crisis happened. So you get battle hardened, but you understand where you are in the cycle, and you can say to yourself, well, listen, I need to be taken into consideration that in a lot of maybe industries or investment opportunities, although
Right.
people are running for the hills. Now is the time to buy.
Right.
Now is the time to buy the Nasdaq. Now is the time
Yeah.
to look
Make
at
those
companies
strategic moves for
and
the
make
next
those moves.
cycle to start 100%.
Yeah. The only
Let's
problem
talk
is
about
nobody.
practical in your business. I want to know, especially those first couple of years, maybe before you hit that first million, I want to know of a good decision that you made that, I mean, obviously you're a sales guy, so maybe you're going to go down that direction, but what does a guy here listening today or a gal listening today learn from you about a good decision that you made?
Listen, the best decision I ever made was quitting alcohol at 25.
Interesting.
That was
Okay.
the best decision. Listen, and every other decision flows from that decision.
Yeah.
So I was between in Ireland, drink is part of the culture.
Right.
So I think I was handed a first drink from my friends when I was about 10. I think my dad bought me my first pint when I was like 12.
Sure.
And then the teenage years,
Yeah.
I was playing rugby. There's a huge drink culture associated with that. And by the age of 25, I was just done and dusted. I was a active, alcoholic, and that was it. And I was losing friendships, and I couldn't hold down a job, and I couldn't really be relied upon in relationships or friendships, and I had to go into recovery and rebuild. And that's really my first few jobs. Like I found comfort in some white knuckle boiler room type call centers,
right,
where I'd just go in and I'd hit the phones and I'd learn to sell, and I was selling IT training courses, and then a little bit of evolution happened, and I think I was only 7 months sober when I met my now wife. That was like 1999. I had my last drink. I think I met my now wife 7 months after that. So I had a new set of tools, I had a new attitude. I was chastened by life.
Yeah.
And
you were prepared for that moment to meet her.
I was prepared, and she never saw me drunk. I never wet the bed with her in it. I never
big deal.
Had to lie or do anything. I was able to be myself and be my best self with her from day one. So that was, and I don't think I would have had the tools if I had kept drinking for another year. I don't think I would have had the tools to
close the deal.
Close the deal. Yeah, close the deal. Make it work.
That's right.
And then with her support, in terms of her emotional support and her belief in me, like we had just bought our first place in 2002, and I was chomping at the bit. In Ireland, you don't get a mortgage if you're a young entrepreneur. They don't give you, the bank won't give you a loan. So you got to stay in the job, get to a certain earning level, get the house bought, and then you can pursue your entrepreneurial dreams. So 2004, when I was ready to go, I took the leap with I think I had about 5K in cash and about 20K on credit cards that I needed to dip into. And I sort of had, I probably could have lasted 6 months without sending out an invoice. But luckily I sent out that broadcast fax, and some invoices went out after.
And you were able to land your first deal. I love what you've said so far, because it's really mindset. It's clarity of mind. It's the tools that you needed in order to make good decisions. So the good decision led to a whole plethora of good decisions, which included your wife, which was just fuel for the journey. Like just so many good things, like the domino effect of that one decision, as you said. So I want to pick your brain on one quick thing. The guy listening right now, the gal listening right now, who isn't where you are, where whether it be alcohol or any other negative obsession, right? Whatever that other obsession is, because entrepreneurs, let's just be honest, that's what we do. We obsess over things. We get a little crazy. We go hard. We go all in. We're either all in or all out. This is just typically how we operate. So what did you do, or what can you share with the listener today of like maybe how you got sober? How would you suggest that they leave that negative obsession and apply it towards the business or their family or a better obsession?
Yeah, it ultimately, back in 1999, one of my friends had to collect me on the other side of the city and bring me back. And his Des McCann, he saved my life. He had a friend, Henry, who had been sober 17 years, and he got me talking to him. But ultimately, once you have a stop doing what you're doing, and you can take it minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, you would be amazed at how quick the body starts to regenerate, where the color comes back into your cheeks, your teeth, your eyes, your body. It regenerates really quickly. I would say I find it difficult to read books, actual
Sure.
books. I'm an audiobook man. I can read on a plane when I'm strapped to the seat, but I'm kind of dogs, kids, even on the beach. I can't really concentrate. So I got to be moving to learn. So I listen to a lot of
Sure.
audiobooks. Back in I think around 2002, I got a job working sales, and I was out on the road traveling around making presentations to HR directors and psychometric tools at the time. But I remember the guy I worked for, John Lyon, he recognized that I was a little bit rough around the edges. And I started my journey of self-development with tapes in the car on those long journeys. It might be Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
And I didn't have too many tapes. I would listen to it over and over again. There was Brian Tracy. There's a sales. He has old tapes. They're tapes, and it's just sales stuff, setting goals. Those kind of like self-help. I would be an advocate of self-help and the learning about habits that other people have used to be effective in life.
Yeah, propel themselves forward and out of the bad obsession, right? Out of the bad habits.
And out of the bad obsession, yeah. But ultimately, sport and particularly rugby has been a hugely positive guiding force in my life. And especially I sort of drifted away from it. I was very serious when I was young and drifted away. And then when kind of gave up alcohol, immersed myself in playing rugby again. And at a low level, you might captain a team so that you're busy and you have a bit of admin associated with it.
Right. Your
so that was
kept.
Yeah, it's a positive thing. Supportive friends. My friends would still party, but there wouldn't be do you want a drink? Are you sure? Have one. It's just get them a water, and that's it. There was no. Now there was some friends who you realize that they were.
Got to move on.
They were just we're drinking buddies. We're not real friends. We're debating negativity in our lives here together. So you got to jettison some. But by and large, I would say to anyone, especially guys who their mind is going at 100 miles an hour, they can't sit down and read a book. I would advise get an Audible account, get your earphones into your ear, and just start somewhere there. Find something that you're interested in and start there, and then you can evolve that. There's so many amazing books on Audible there. You could lose yourself in any genre you want. And philosophy is really good, and there's an author there, Ryan Holiday, makes Stoic philosophy very accessible. He's got a couple of really good audio books. He narrates himself. The obstacle is the way, and the ego is the enemy, and these kinds of things. So they will give you a different mindset. They'll give you a different mindset, and then you'll finally realize you might understand that what your addiction is. What your dopamine system has been tricked. You learn about dopamine. You can feel it when you know about it. So you can feel the stock market goes up, or the sales are up, or the lads have had a great day in the field, or whatever success you feel. You can, there's dopamine now. You can actually,
I can feel it seeping in.
You can feel it seeping through your veins. Yeah. So it's self-awareness, and it's awareness of what is driving your bad habits, and what can you do to address those. And that was I'd find audiobooks. I'm on the run. I can run in the morning every day. I've had Bono in my ear for the last week or so, and books like that. Like, he's a philosopher too, and the new way they produce audiobooks, at the start of the chapter, you would hear the start of the song, and then he's telling you about where he was during the song, and it might drift back into the song then after and you have a whole new perspective on that music that has always been there. But,
and the same thing for all the self-help audios, as you've said. I'm a huge Audible fan as well. In fact, I was just talking with my wife just the other day. She noticed that there was 3 credits left, and she was like, should I, like, it says it's coming to an end. Like, do I need to shut this down? I'm like, whoa, no. Like, it doesn't matter if they roll over, if I lose them, whatever, that sucker's going to renew, and those credits are going to be available whether I know it or not, because now that they're available, then I will go buy them. It's on automatic. It forces me.
And now my kids are in the Audible in my account. They're buying books. I've had to. You have to, sometimes you got to renew early because you've used all your credits.
That's right.
But it's great. It's great. I would Audible is one of the, in terms of learning about. It could be anything. You could start off with little book of investing if that was your thing, and learn about index funds, and you can move on to venture capitalism 100%. And you can go down that rabbit hole. And
that's right.
It is. There's so much to learn.
That's right. Well, I want to flip the script to a bad decision. You've given us quite a bit on how to that bad choice that you were making, which is incredible. What was a bad choice that you made, maybe in the business, that we can learn from?
Yeah, listen, I've learned every lesson a man can learn the hard way, you
Mhm.
know. But
Yeah.
I've been trying to think about this decision. Like there's obviously I'm human, and if guys that are in my business are looking at this, they're probably shouting at the screen, going, "That bad decision, that bad decision, that bad
That's right.
decision." But the when you're when you're happy today, it's very hard to equate a bad decision to it's very hard to think of a decision as being a bad thing, because
Right.
every decision I've made has brought me here to where I am
Exactly.
today. And I'm not satisfied, but I've got a calm mind, I've got a fit body, and I'm in a house full of love. So there
Yeah.
is
Good
that.
perspective.
So the things they say, the in life, there's people that'll pull you up and people that will push you down, but in the
Right.
end you'll thank them both. And it's the same with good decisions and bad decisions. Like you make
Yeah.
a bad decision, you got to go take your medicine, but at the other side of that,
Yep.
you're a better person. You've
Yeah.
renewed, and you've had some adversity, you've had some struggle. So ultimately, you know, the bad decisions that send us into the forest or that send us into the jungle, ultimately they can end up being the making of us. They can end up being that visit into the woods can be can be the experience that sets
Yeah.
you up for future
Well, I
success.
mean,
So
even in the detail that you gave to us around your drinking habits before getting sober, I mean, obviously that led to that moment, that led to those decisions, that led to who you are today, a clean,
yeah,
sober, fit body, fit mind person. And so, yeah, I think that you're right. We all agree with those things. We know that along the way that we're looking to not make bad decisions. Obviously, the
yeah,
history that I want to win more than I lose, but you're right. The perspective on the losing really gives us another level to be able to think about. So
yeah. Just make a decision. Make a decision. Stand over it. I am certain that there have been times in my life where I zigged and I should have zagged, and if I had a zagged, I'd be 5x more
right.
successful than I am now. But it is,
It's
where
good
are those
perspective.
decisions?
Right.
Where are those decisions?
Who made the decision is what your point
We made
is,
a
right?
decision. We made our decision. Like, you can sit there and not make a decision. People can remain in a loop,
Right.
focusing in on some kind of thing and not progress in their lives.
Right.
Just make a decision and stand by that decision. And ultimately, you can evolve that decision. If it is the wrong, like the worst decisions I ever made were probably relationship oriented. In
Sure.
terms of friends I wish I hadn't lost, or in terms of work, we turn up as professionals and we try to deliver, and we do the best we can.
Right.
Ultimately, the everything that happens in our business you think has already happened, but we still get surprised.
Yeah. 100%.
It's like snakes and ladders. Sometimes you stand on a snake, you got to go back. Sometimes you're on a ladder, up you go. But
That's right.
ultimately, it's just got to keep going.
Well, John, I'm going to end the show here by asking you two last questions. I want to,
Yeah.
you said you're not a big reader and Audible's the thing for you for that self-development, for the growing of the business specifically. What have you listened to or what have you read on one of those plane rides that you can recommend to the listeners?
There's been quite a few. I think the Marshall Goldsmith has written a book recently, The Earned Life, and that
Okay.
is he's a coach to CEOs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good stuff in that, and he himself narrates the audiobook, so
Yeah.
you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth.
I love that. Yeah.
I would recommend Bono's memoir, I suppose it's a from nothing to everything.
Right. Right.
And
Exactly. That's
although
encouraging.
that is encouraging. That is very encouraging. So there's so many, because the Power Law, that's a book about venture capitalism.
Sure.
And it just talks about the story of Silicon Valley and
Yeah.
the evolution of the deals that happened there.
Right. Yeah. I just hear that you're expounding your brain in a lot of different directions. Obviously, you're a lifelong learner. I hear that being more of the recommendation than anything. The ones that you've mentioned, though, we'll put in the show notes. That way, the listeners, if they want to download those or even purchase the actual books, they can definitely do that. Last question here for you, John. If you could whisper in the younger John's ear what would you say?
Just say keep going. I wouldn't want to miss out on any of the mistakes that I made. I wouldn't want to, because I wouldn't want to miss out on any of the adversity. I wouldn't want to have. There's been a lot of water under the bridge, but ultimately, I think everything that you go through in your life, you have to go through. Ultimately, every challenge, every test. I think if I had made it a little bit easier for myself by giving myself a tip, I might say buy Apple.
Yep. Or Google or Bitcoin or
any of those things. Like I might give myself the name of
right.
a horse that won a race or something along those lines. But
Yeah.
apart from that, keep going. And that might have been enough for me if my future self had said that to me.
Yeah.
That would have given me reassurance that I was on the right track. And that is.
It's tough to see that in the
do.
moment, and I think that's exactly where the listener is. So I hope that they take your little tip to yourself for themselves, because that's exactly where they're at. They're in that place where they just need to hear, just keep going. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
It's all going to work out. And in fact, this guy right here you're listening to is saying that he wouldn't have traded out the bad things, the bad decisions, the ups and the downs. He would have done it all over again. So, John, how can the listener find you? They want to reach out. Maybe they're in Ireland and they need to hire a sales team, or maybe they just want to reach out to you as an entrepreneur. Pick your brain. How can they find you?
Yeah, they can email me, john@billsave.ie, BILLSAVE.ie. I'm on LinkedIn, John Sharpe.
Perfect.
Billsave, and you can reach out through the Billsave website.
There you go.
If you want a sales team, remote, telesales, field sales, event sales, anywhere, we have teams and set up. We've got teams, remote telesales teams. We've had teams operate from Bosnia, Romania, India, South Africa. We've had field sales teams here, and we have the agency in a box, so we can literally roll into any town and quickly deploy the systems, recruit, train, manage, pay, and get a team up and running for any organization, especially mass market service providers like energy companies or internet companies.
Love that. Love that. Well, we'll put all that in the show notes as well. John, thank you for being here. I loved the stories. You're someone that we could sit here and listen to you for hours, which is great. We love the accent as well. Of course, I'm sure you hear that a bunch from us Americans, but the reality is that, man, you've got a story, and I just so appreciate you sharing to you, your family, and your business, your teams, all that good stuff. Thank you for being here, John.
Thank you so much. Very much appreciated.
Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing literally over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings literally exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.